This is a quick tutorial on how to set up multi-tenancy with content sharing among tenants in your Cognos Analytics environment. This video is focused on tenant IDs based on user account attributes. Tenant administration delegation is not in the scope of this video. In the video we will show how to specify a user attribute in the LDAP repository, how to configure tenant ID mapping in Cognos configuration, how to configure tenants in Cognos Analytics, how to assign tenants to objects, and finally how to configure content sharing among tenants. Let's start by looking at our users using an LDAP browser. There is a user called admin. This user is not assigned to a tenant and will be the system administrator with access to all tenants. Besides the admin user, we see 3 users for each tenant. For example, user 1 T2 belongs to tenant 2 and user 3 T1 belongs to tenant 1. So the last digit references the tenant a user belongs to. The business category attribute references the tenant ID, but it can be any other attribute. And please note that the user admin has no business category attribute as it doesn't belong to a tenant. The next step is to enable multi-tenancy in Cognos configuration. This can be done in the security authentication section, which would enable it globally for all namespaces. Or it can be set specifically for each namespace. For flexibility reasons, we will enable multi-tenancy at the namespace level. In the multi-tenancy group of properties, click the Edit button for the Tenant ID mapping property. In the Tenant ID mapping box that is displayed, specify your mapping in the following way. For type, select pattern. For value, type the constant ~parameters / followed by a custom property name, which is simply parameter name. In the Account Mappings Advanced Group of Properties, specify the custom property and map it to the account attribute. Click in the Value column for custom properties and click the Edit button. In the Value Custom Properties window, click Add. In the Name column, type the custom property name, which is basically the tenant ID mapping value. In the Value column, type the name of the attribute. This is the same attribute name that references the tenant ID in the LDAP. In our case, the value is business category. Test your multi-tenancy configuration. Right-click the namespace and click Test. Log on using credentials of your choice and click OK. Click the Details button and read the information that is displayed. If multi-tenancy is properly configured, your tenant ID is displayed in the details. If the tenant ID is not displayed, update and correct the values and test again. If the testing was successful, from the File menu, click Save. Restart the IBM Cognos service for the changes to take effect. The next step is to add tenants in Cognos Analytics. Log on to Cognos Analytics as the system administrator. In the navigation bar, click Manage and Multi-Tenancy. Click the plus sign to add a tenant. Define a name. This name will be visible. Define the tenant ID, which is the same as in your LDAP. Click Add to finish this step. Repeat the last steps for all tenants. For each tenant, click on More and Enable. Now this is done, we will assign tenants to folder objects in team content to make them available for tenant members only. For example, we're going to assign folder A to tenant 1 or folder B to tenant 2, etc. To do this, click on Team Content, select folder A, click More and Properties. Expand the Advanced section on the General tab, click on None on Tenant and select tenant 1 in the select list. Then click Apply. We will now repeat the steps we carried out for folder A for folder B and assign the object to tenant 2. Finally, Tenant 3 gets assigned to folder C to complete the task. Based on the view, you can see that the folder and all its contents is now assigned to the tenant ID. When logging in as user1t2, we can actually only see folder B as it belongs to the user's tenant. We can also see the public content like the samples folder. Then, when rerunning the test with user2t3, we can only see folder C and the public content. So far, multi-tenancy is working as expected. As a next step, we're going to share the content amongst the different tenants. When content sharing among tenants is implemented, users can access content from different tenants in addition to their own tenant content. In the LDAP browser, select a user, in this example we will use user3t3, and add a new attribute. In this example we will use department number from the attribute type, then click Finish. Because we want to get this user access to the contents of tenant 1, we type tenant 1 in the value field. To show that additional values are possible, we add a new value to the department number attribute. In the value field, we type tenant 2. In Cognos configuration, content sharing among tenants needs to be configured. In the multi-tenancy group of properties, click the Edit button for the tenant bounding set property. In the tenant ID mapping box that is displayed, specify your mapping in the following way. For type, select pattern. For value, type the constant ~parameters / followed by a custom property name, which is bounding set. In the account mappings advanced group of properties, specify the custom property and map it to the account attribute. Click in the value column for custom properties and click the Edit button. In the value custom properties window, click Add. In the name column, type bounding set. In the value column, type the name of the LDAP attribute. In this case, the value is department number. Test your multi-tenancy configuration. Right-click the namespace and click Test. Log on with user3t3. Click the Details button and read the information that is displayed. If everything is correct, then the additional tenant IDs are displayed under Tenant Bounding Set. If the testing was successful, from the File menu, click Save. Restart the IBM Cognos service for the changes to take effect. Logging in as user3t3, only this user is able to see all 3 tenant folders. Thank you for watching this Cognos Analytics tutorial. Please comment on this video and visit our YouTube channel to learn more about using IBM Cognos Analytics 11.